All right. Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Thomas Blair, and I'm joined this morning by...
My name is Akshay. I'm a gameplay engineer.
He is one of our fantastic gameplay engineers.
Thank you.
And he has done such popular things as the...
Disciplines.
Okay. That's a pretty popular one.
Chat.
Chat
Pass, the first pass.
Okay. To be fair, Bill gave him something and he kind of had to make it work.
True.
Which in future sprint we are completely gutting and replacing with all of the new stuff, including there's some voice stuff in there too.
That is coming up.
That is coming up in future. But let's talk about what other.
So we've been working on the Crypt flow.
Okay.
And the designers basically worked with the UX designers, and they came up with some cool mock-ups. And I've basically just been putting that in the game and testing that. So today, I guess we're going to show you guys what the new Crypt looks like.
Well, we're gonna take them through the flow.
Yeah, the whole flow.
So generally, when design comes up with an idea, Todd and I will bat it out. We'll come up with a document. We'll bounce that document back and forth a bunch of times. Eventually, we'll come down to what we want. We will pull Billy in, and he'll give us some UI stuff. He'll come up with his own flow of how the UI should work with it. That may have some changes to how we want the feature built. And at the end of that, we give this big giant document to an engineer. And then Akshay or any other engineer will have to figure out what the hell to do with that.
Yep.
Right? So from there, what do you normally do, Akshay?
Usually I try and figure out what the building blocks are for this particular feature.
Okay.
So they will usually make some prefabs with some associated like technical integration document. And so what I'll do is basically start writing those scripts for those behaviors, looking at the document.
Okay.
Looking at like what are the ways that the player can interact with these different pieces, and then getting those pieces in, and then basically testing that with our existing like in our gray box system, making sure everything works right.
Okay, so here's an example of this is the UI flow doc you got, and of course it always looks way prettier than when you actually. The document's way prettier than the first implementation, which we're going to show you. So this is what it looks like when it's handed off to Akshay. And there's a lot of notes in here. You'll see stuff that Billy put in. Usually there will also be some notes over here on the side that as we read through it for the bazillionth time, comments will come up and we'll say, what about this? What about that? And hey, here's our producer identifying that this is not part of this milestone, right? So here's all of the guild color stuff that we're just not going to put in as 5.5. But Billy still wants to document it out so that we know where we're going and we know where that's going to go when we have time to build that. Fair enough? Let's go. And I think we showed some of this as part of an update about 2 weeks ago. Some of these screenshots made it out there. And what are we showing here? I'll go back into view mode. And we'll go back. Yes, there's 15 pages to this doc. So they go into a lot of depth. Delete Billy the Bullman. Okay, so this was one of the earlier iterations. So we'd already even moved past some of these things to
it's actually down if you scroll down to the next version.
Okay.
I think one more. It's coming.
It's coming. I'm just yeah. So yeah, the kind of CAPTCHA, not this is a cat that walked across my keyboard and deleted my character.
All my characters.
But you can clearly see that at this phase, you will have to do something to make that character go away, and it will not allow you to delete it until you actually match the pattern.
Yep.
Excellent. Okay, so that's the end of what you are provided by the UI group, and then you're going to go over here and you're going to generate this guy. Or is this
right?
Actually...
So actually, this is Billy's notes.
Okay.
But we both look at this document and we both work on it together.
Okay.
So this is basically what are the individual prefabs in Unity and what are their functionalities supposed to be. So the different layout groups, the different like interactables. And some notes like when should this item be locked? When should it be clickable? Like what should it do when you interact with it?
Yep. So there's all kinds of detail. It's not just as simple as just kind of
make this do this.
Make this do this. There's a whole lot of effort that goes into building one of these. Here's like a default screen, for example, that will show you.
And this also works like a checklist because as I'm like knocking these features out, I can go back, look at the document, and be like, oh, I did miss this one thing. You know, this one little feedback thing that could be really important. So it helps us keep track of what we're working on, what still needs to be done.
And there's still a whole bunch that needs to be done. But we just kind of wanted to show you where we're at with this. Actually, I guess a whole bunch is not entirely accurate. You'll probably finish within a couple days.
Yeah.
So when we go look at that in game, so I'm a little dark here. I'm actually playing on the yes, this is in a different test zone than I usually show you guys everything. It is a little darker because of the Elgato that is capturing, but I am on a female Centaur today. Everyone loves the female Centaur. I don't know what.
I love her so much.
Why do you love her so much, Jack?
I don't know. I just, like, I don't know. I love her hair. She's the best.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. So this is a little test map for us. We put these little test maps together for an engineer to come in here, and so that they don't have to deal with building the world out, and they can basically have access to the interactables so that they can hook up their feature. So in this case, this is a super early version of what will eventually become the Crypt. It will get completely propped out. We definitely want to make it look like that piece of art that Greco put up a couple weeks ago with the Yaga statue.
Yeah.
But for now, this is what we work with. So, I mean, you guys are familiar with, or at least some of you are familiar with the gray box that we had for Hunger Dome 1.0. This is clearly a much more colorized testing version, but it's still testing, and there's a lot to go on it. So this is the new cairn that we use for when you kill another player. So we actually just happen to have that in here because we're using that as the interactable right now. That won't be the final interactable. That's actually what happens after you death blow a player or they release. Right. That is what their items go into. So we go ahead and we interact with this guy. And we do our, boom, we're going to put some new animation in there, some new effects. And now it takes you to the screen that you saw before. But however, this one actually works.
Yep.
So you go ahead and you select it. If I had any vessels in my inventory, they would show up here and I would be able to select them. This Crypt is currently allowing the creation of all. So we can go ahead and we can select anything that we want to. I mean, you guys are very familiar with this screen, but that always wasn't the case. And it won't be the case in the future. As we talked about, we really wanted to create crypts that were limited based on the campaign. So we could make a whole Stoneborn versus Elven map if we wanted to and disallow any other character types. Is the Fae... Okay, so we haven't done the final... Oh, that's right. The male-female button is missing.
Yes. It's going to get added back.
Probably today.
It disappeared.
So when they go in here for some kind of pull the engine out of the car to do some surgery on everything,
yeah,
pieces kind of...
sometimes don't get put back.
They go on walkabout. I think that's the best way to describe it. You're like, hey, where did that button go? And they're like... So, yeah. Game development for you, ladies and gentlemen. Is the High Elf turned on yet? Okay. I was playing her earlier, but we haven't enabled her via this UI yet because it's not ready. So let's go ahead and create... Should we do a human?
Sure.
Ooh, Lady Centaur. Oh, you can't.
I can't. The button's missing.
The button is gone.
I just said the button's missing, Jack.
I got so excited about Lady Centaur again.
And then you're just like, where'd that button go?
Okay. Where's that button?
Okay, so let's go ahead. You are now Blair test. You're now required. Again, we're still going to use the account name above the head. We're just requiring this for the UI in here so that when you come back in, you know which one. So knowing the difference between the quality of vessel is going to be important, right, Akshay? Yep. So let's just say, okay, you can see I'm on this guy, and let's go ahead and go back into that screen. Ugh. And you'll now see I have one coupler test. Why don't I have a name for Lady Centaur?
Because you logged in into test with that and didn't actually go through the vessel creation flow. And also, if you notice, you can't delete your current vessel, but you can delete the other one.
Okay, so should I just make another one?
Sure.
Let's go with a half-elf. I wonder if they've seen the faces on the half-elf yet. Half-test. Yeah, the polishing and the shine of all of the effects and things, that will come online this week as Akshay wraps up the code side of the house. Mm-hmm. It's very dark in here on this screen, man. It's definitely distracting. That's okay. By the time you guys see it, it'll be nice and bright and shiny. And actually not really, because it's supposed to be Yaga's.
It's true.
It's going to be Yaga statue.
It's a dark place.
It is a dark place. However, for a demo, it's all working, except for some key pieces. Okay, so the one that I'm currently on is the half-elf, and you can tell I can't delete him, but let's go ahead and delete this guy. And here's the little... So if anyone ever says, my cat accidentally deleted my character, my 4-year-old...
That is a smart cat.
Or a smart 4-year-old, and there you have it. So, again, the goal here is that you have... Once you've used a vessel, you've imprinted the vessels, what we call it in the documentation, is it transfers from the inventory up into here, and now it's a slot, and it can't... Boom, he's gone. It can't be taken from you. And there, you saw one in my inventory, so that slot is now free. So I can put another one in here. We still have... So Necromancy is still going to create the unimprinted vessels. And as you see here, I was issued a white quality one by the Crypt, because that's all the Crypts will ever give you is a white quality vessel. And I have a green quality one here. I used our GM cheat commands, so it doesn't have the awesome stats that it would have. But you kind of get the idea of the flow here. So the Necromancers are going to be making lots of these, and they're going to be making awesome quality ones. You're probably not going to want to keep a white quality vessel for longer than you have to.
Mm-hmm. Right. It's just base stats.
And then there is a UI that's going in at... Let's go back into this screen.
Actually, make sure you speak up. You got to match Blair's volume.
Okay, I will speak louder.
So Billy was going to rig a tooltip in here so you could actually see at this screen the disciplines as well as
the
stats for this particular character at this point. And you can see at the bottom here, and we showed it in the mock-up. Right now they're set to 1 because I haven't been giving them any XP. But in this one, you'll notice it in the mock-up, it shows that this is a purple quality level 15, and this is a white quality level 4, and this is a blue quality level 1. So you will definitely be able to tell these things.
Yep.
Right. All of that polish will come online as the days and weeks go by. How do you equip the green vessel? Okay, that was the very first question. So if you have this vessel in your inventory and you come up to the interactable, hi interactable, and you come up here, that was weird. Did it not like that? So I came in here and it didn't take me, oh, duh, because I have to hit the plus screen. I'm still getting used to the flow. So that was a green Nethari. If Akshay had hooked it up, which he will later today, underneath the Nethari right here, you would see that green one in my inventory would be eligible for me to click on. Correct?
That's right.
We just pulled we pulled out it last night.
Yeah, we're still testing that. Like we had it on the human yesterday, but that was just a placeholder for testing, and so we're testing the other races right now.
So by the time you guys see it, it will be there. Are high elves in this build? Yes, high elves are in this build. We haven't flipped them to active yet. Neither have we flipped the female centaur to active because that button is missing.
Do equipped vessels get decay over time? Do we know yet?
Do equipped vessels get decay over time?
Vessel that you're suiting?
Yeah, so we haven't decided what we're going to land on that yet. And that's kind of a... We want to, because obviously we want to keep necromancers fully employed. We haven't figured out exactly how we should do it. That's just kind of the brunt of it. Technically, the vessel is still an equipment object, as you saw when I left here. Let me cancel out of this guy. So if you look at this, it's comparing it to what it thinks is equipped, which is called Heftest, because that's the name of the character.
Yep.
That is actually an object in a secret inventory, so we can clearly decay these things if we want to. The question is, how do we do it?
Yeah, there's just
for
items.
Gameplay reasons, not mechanically how, because mechanically is trivial at this point because it's an item. Okay. Was there any other Akshay? You want your high elf? I was playing the high elf a little while ago, Max.
Will you pop out your chat so I stop getting the reception?
Sure.
I can't hide it fast enough.
Where is the pop out button? Is it down here in the options?
Yes, it's there.
Oh, not that.
No, not there. It's the gear.
The gear and pop out.
Pop.
All right. There we go.
And then make your stream go away. Thank you.
There we go.
For my sanity.
Okay, I in fact don't see any.
Here.
Say something. There we go. Okay. Scimitar is in somewhere. Okay. So, yes, the Scimitar debate is back. So, is there anything else you wanted to show on this Akshay or talk about?
Not really. I think we covered pretty much everything. The Crypt flow.
Yes, 5.5 is starting to get jam-packed full of new things. I saw the Death Blow yesterday. That all worked. The entire new Death Flow, along with that, is in. New AI stuff is coming online. Spider Canyon's coming along very well. Vendors are pretty damn close. So, it's looking good. Okay. And yes, we will enable all of these other characters. In fact, probably today for us, because as we start to hand this off to QA, they're going to be like, hey, how do I get onto a Lady Centaur? I'll be like, well, first, the button needs to come back. But after that, then we need to go ahead and, man.
Are vessels lootable before equipping?
Are vessels lootable before equipping? Yes, they are inventory objects. So anything in your inventory is subject to potential somebody grabbing it if they have the corpse on the ground. Okay, so at this point we can swap Akshay out for Mr. Halash, and we can do the last half as Q&A now that we've shown the new hotness for the feature. So thank Akshay for coming out.
Thank you guys.
If you'd be so kind as to send in Mr. Halash.
I will. Bye.
Bye, Akshay.
Bye.
We love you.
We'll bring Halash.
And he can get back to work on finding those missing buttons. And
give me my Lady Centaur.
Everybody really wants to play the Lady Centaur.
She's so pretty.
Is that what it is?
She's really pretty.
I think for a lot of us too, we've been playing the male for
so long.
For 2.5 years now. That it's cool to see new stuff. Yeah. Thanks, dude. Now get back to work.
Thanks.
Fix the buttons. Make it look pretty. Make it show all the things. Yeah. So Todd and I have various phases that we talk about with a feature. And currently, it is at the phase where I saw it at someone else's desk. So generally it goes from document to I saw it at someone else's desk to I saw it at my desk to I saw it in the build. And right before or right after I saw it in the build is when you guys get your hands on it. So right now it's at the phase where I saw it on someone else's machine and it worked. And actually, technically we saw it on my machine now. Which means it's closer to getting it onto other people's machines.
Even closer.
And we all know who this gentleman is.
Hello, everybody. Am I here?
Is he in frame? Does it look good?
Hold on. Bill was asking me questions. Yes, he's good.
Okay.
Excellent.
Don't scoot any more that way, though. Don't let Blair shove you off the screen.
Okay. Nice. So we went through and showed them the crypt.
Excellent.
Have you seen the crypt, Mr.
I
Halash?
have. I've been watching over Japo's shoulder. So yes, I have.
Excellent.
Ass in.
Assassin. And of course, I can't equip any of my plate because
You ain't got the skills.
I ain't got the skills. Yes. Yes. Okay. So let's ask questions and we will answer. Oh, you know what? Did I make a? You know what? The question that they're all asking, or should be, is it's kind of funny. How many weeks ago did you do the swap here for our friend the Knight?
Oh, you mean the energy deal?
Yes, the energy deal.
The energy deal. Yeah, that actually. I don't even know. That was a lot of days ago.
How many sleeps?
Many sleeps.
How many sleeps? How many sleeps was it?
At least.
Look at that.
Geez,
I love them all.
20
Yes.
sleeps? Was it 20 sleeps? I don't know.
Yes, our friend, our longtime friend. And let's get out of this dark cave.
The dark cave.
And you can now see that I have energy as opposed to just
in
stamina.
addition to stamina. Got your energy and stamina. And yes, I saw a question earlier. Block does still use stamina. That has not changed.
Let's get out of that dank, dark pit of Yaga. Yeah, the screen is always so much darker going through the Elgato than it is. This is the super small QA test map that we keep up just so they can quickly get in and test some really quick things out, which is why it is very small and pretty much devoid of anything. The design map has all of those things.
Things and stuff.
All of the things.
The things and the stuff.
And as we come in here,
look at those crafting.
yes, all of our
Majiggers.
this is their area, as well as you'll notice. Oh yeah, basic armor is gone. However, we got basic rune bind in now, and the basic plethora of dust potion to help out people get dust early on as a basic. Yeah, as Mark said last time, content starts to come on at a frightening pace. So now that we can see a lot of these problems and we have a lot of these systems, we can go ahead and add things like the basic plethora of dust potion. So what does it take? 2, 2, and 2. Yeah, that's right. Okay, back to question phase. Oh, I was going to show them that, yes, block does slowly drain my stamina.
As always.
And
Only no, you're not fighting against doing abilities or block.
yes, and you'll
No, you
notice that
can.
energy. I am still sad to lose a stamina knight. I always will be, because Dark Souls, as we know. Did that weapon shell not work? Okay, let's answer some questions. Okay, how is the PCM compared to Stamina Knight?
I mean, it should be relatively the same-ish, right? I mean,
Yeah.
You shouldn't notice that much difference between the two in terms of like regeneration and how many things you can do, how often. If anything, it might be a little more freeing since you don't have to worry about block, right? You don't have to pay for block from the same pool, or harvesting from the same pool or whatever.
Yeah.
What have you?
Or retaliate.
Too
many things.
Right. I mean, retaliate was really that was the straw that broke the camel's back, basically, because it's like poor knights, they can basically retaliate and block, and that's pretty much it. They get their choice. You can fight or you can defend. We didn't like it.
Will there be a motherlode equivalent of mobs in the adventure parcels?
Motherlode mobs? Well, we're gonna have boss mobs, but I don't know if they're gonna fulfill the same role as the mother node.
Yes, but you're roughly. I mean, Spider Queen is equivalent of a group node or a group monster. We see them as very similar things. Okay, the armor miner for equipping plate and mail is coming.
Yes, I believe.
Is there
Val
crafting
has
recipe?
there should be. I think Val has. They were marked as internal only. They should be there now. I believe Val.
Do you know what they were called?
It should be called like plate proficiency, leather proficiency. Nope.
Uniform.
And they should be. They're miners.
The Reaper. Plate proficiency. Yes.
It should be a leather proficiency. Actually, no, there isn't because everybody gets that one.
Yeah, everyone gets
what am I talking about?
There should be a scale proficiency, but I don't see one.
It might be called chain proficiency, Blair. Because I don't know the things are named.
I don't see it.
Or maybe not. You wouldn't have it.
Mail. Right there.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
There we go.
I was going to say.
Oh, hey, look. Color FFF. Great.
Why, that's red.
Why, that should not be there.
Yeah, that'd be red.
Plate proficiency.
All kinds of red. The red is red.
Yes, whoever implemented that didn't test their shit.
Not me.
Okay. Is the crypt going to be in beachheads? Yes. The initial crypts are already in the 5.5 Wrath map beachheads. Can Templar Parry use stamina too, please?
Different, but no.
There you have it. Okay, there have been a lot of EK building placement issues in the last versions. Any chance that this might be solved in an next version? I believe somebody was looking at that. Tommy was looking at that, and so was Val. It may be better. I don't know if Jack knows the side from... Okay, no reports from Jack. I recently took the node in the Barbarian tree that increased my skill cooldowns instead of decreasing it. Well, I just have to wait for 5.5 or even later to be able to play the Champion Myrmidon. Yes, that fix is already in 5.5. However, 5.5 is right around the corner, so to speak. So, should we talk about hotfixes and the potential for destabilization of the current? Because the challenge we always have is to fix. We could fix everything in a hotfix if we wanted to, but
Which
we don't.
Is sometimes the problem,
right?
Is trying to do that,
right? So good development practices are to not do that. It's to fix things like my client is crashing, or things like that are really hotfix worthy. If there's a bug, and especially if that bug has already been fixed in the branch that's coming right up behind going into test, you really don't want to derail.
Yeah. I mean, you start pulling a thread, you never know what else might be connected to it, and next thing you know, you're like, oh, didn't mean that.
Not only do you might introduce more problems by trying to fix that thing, it derails your entire QA department because they have to test that before it goes out. You derail your build guy because he has to make a special build, and then something may go wrong putting on the patcher, and then you're also derailing. There's a whole lot of overhead to getting a hotfix out, and if it's not really necessary, you can be like, okay, we can just wait till the next build. And
I mean, it's be necessary for example, the barbarian folks that are. But I mean, we sort of have to weigh that with the cost of the things Blair was just speaking about.
Yep, not only cost but additional risk. Okay, are you able to show off the melee plus 75 support power stone or clarify its restrictions?
I mean, it should be in there, right?
I actually think I put that on. Hey Jack, you want to hide? Give me some hide so I can go start digging.
You are hidden.
Okay.
With kittens.
Did I get it right the first time?
You are.
Bam!
You are right.
First time, right out of the box.
Kittens can go away now.
Yep, and I didn't even make this one. Yes, Surging Spirit is the new miner for people who are trying to make a spirit build or support power healer type as a melee guy to do those things, so they're not so far behind. And we didn't want to just artificially inflate everybody's healing,
Right. I mean,
because then at that point they're still behind.
there's no cost.
So we'll see if this is enough cost, and if there's not enough cost, we actually have this. There's a version of this guy that grants a passive, so it would cost you a minor and a passive slot to catch up. We'll see. I mean,
Right. We'll try. And
basically, we have all kinds of knobs to make things more costly or less costly. We want this version right off the bat. We'll see if it's a problem. Yada, yada, yada. Okay, thoughts on changing the champ's ultimate warrior heal to a hot to tone down its tankiness?
Well, I mean, that's an interesting idea. And certainly, a lot of the changes, like some of the changes, like semi-recently, I guess it's been a while, many sleeps, for the champion was to sort of reduce his tankiness and make him more DPS-ish. Now that said, is he still too tanky? Maybe. I mean, that is a good idea. That would be actually one of the things I'd look at, because that's a good way to to nerf healing without really nerfing it, right? So it's less of a burst and more of a we'll think about it, right? So it's right here in the back pocket.
Yep.
Need be.
Is the radius of the res close, medium, far? If we res too close, it will be a real camping problem. Right now, it is
From orbit. No, not from orbit.
It is a standard interact distance as a crow on the body. And our solution to camping has always been you can either wait or you can take a tow truck.
Yeah. Or grab friends.
Okay. If you kill and take someone's level 10 vassal and slot into your own, is there still a level 10 or will it be level 1? So, this question is asking if you kill and take someone's level 10 vessel.
That would be
impossible, because the only one that is an inventory object, as you see here, is an unimprinted vessel. As soon as it has levels on it, that means that somebody has equipped it, which means they used the crypt and they loaded it out, and it is now no longer an item that is in your inventory. It's off in the ether. You will never see it in an inventory again. And the only ones that can be looted are unimprinted, default, out of the box. The Necromancer just made this thing, vessel. Answer that question. Okay. Any thoughts about expose, punish? Easily possible to chain punish someone under the current mechanics, and it feels very strong with no DR. It's kind of
it's so. The thing about expose punish is you can opt to not be exposed punish by not attacking. Now, obviously, that's easier said than done if somebody's hitting you in the face, but it is basically something you do have control over. So it's one of those. Hey, if you're exposed and you're fighting a specialist, you might probably want to be careful about when you're attacking, right? Making sure you wait for them, see them attack, and then maybe you attack, right? Because they're not going to.
So
be able to respond.
It doesn't behoove you to mash the buttons, so to speak.
Mash less.
Okay. Is the Crypt cave the same cave that's going to be used in the adventure parcels? Can you make these caves longer? I think it's a brand new parcel that they made, but it's based off of one of the canyon set pieces. Okay, that's not a question. Have the skill trees been modified at all with the night energy change in mind?
Probably not, but that's a good thing to look at.
Thanks, Arcade. We will definitely look at that. How do vessel names appear to others versus account name? The vessel name only shows up in the Crypt UI and is useful for you to manage the series of them, because you may have 3 knights and you may have 3 discipline loadouts on those knights based on however you want to play. You've got a support knight, and you've got a
DPS
super tanky
knight,
knight and a
healing
DPS.
knight,
Yeah, so
Harvesting Knight.
because of that, the name thing is in there for you to help organize them. Very similar to Eve ships. The account name is still above the character head because we believe reputation is very important. We don't want people dodging that by just jumping into another vessel. Can we get durable hide from spiders or special hairy durable boars? I believe durable does come from the spiders. Okay. Does selecting a class affect attributes, and is this viewable on the vessel or class stone yet? It doesn't show the delta, I believe, the add-ons from the class, but it shows what the base. You can see it shows the base. Yeah. This is a template one, so they all come up plus 6. If I had handcrafted this one, you would see very different stats. Why is Essence so hard to find? I'm guessing you don't have a lot of Plethora of Dust skills, which is why we added a consumable in 5.5, and there is a very important node in the skill trees that I want to point out in the exploration tree. This guy right here, Plethora of Dust, the consumable potion does stack with this node, and this one will give you up to 5%. So there are ways. Okay, only a fool does not drop in Demon Pact. Yes, Demon Pact is the one that gives you the extra passive slot. It's funny that how easy people come by these things now when they only cost a copper. At some point, we're going to start pulling them out of there.
Sure.
And that point is really
perhaps
soon.
Perhaps
yes, you will start to see minor disciplines drop from NPCs and
not from
your spell book of or your crafting book of awesome.
Your cookbook.
Yes, you're going to start seeing on the test server. We're going to keep it out here always, such that you can come test this stuff out. But on the live server, we're going to start going away from this, and you will get the disciplines off of NPCs. Well, the minors. We haven't put in the system yet for the majors, to make that clear. Can you restart the test map and load it as a high elf, pretty please? No. I just saw her for the first time this morning, and I got some bugs already over to the art team. She's not ready to be seen yet. Okay. With vessels being the most complex and valuable item that one can craft being added, will we see a fix to the percentage-based max durability hit, which makes durability more or less on items pointless?
That is on the list.
That is
we're very, very well aware of that.
It is on the whiteboard. It is very clearly a hot button 5.5 issue. Mm-hmm. Can you look at the micro stutters on the EU server? I know the engineers, there's a couple of them looking at performance right now because we're trying to jam in a whole lot of AI in the next update. Can we have the kitten overlay back? Assassin. I don't know what that means. Angel of Death passive says 30% damage bonus on targets below 30% health, but character details say this is capped at 20. Which part is broke?
Caps are right. So apparently Angel of Death, not very deathish enough. More like Angel of...
Not death?
Mostly death.
Right now, crafters have two options when experimenting. 1 pip at a time of 50% of the pips get to 50% to the percent increase. Why not allow 10, 20, 30, 40 to get some kind of bonus as well? Possibly have the amount risk equal the bonus. This is talking about they spend 1 pip at a time or go for the higher risk ones. So that will make more sense once we have factories online. Because if you spend at a rate of 1-1-1-1-1, you will vastly increase the amount of time it takes to craft something. What about support classes being left behind by damage inflation?
Ooh, what damage inflation? Is my question to that.
Oh my, somebody is starting to go after Insatiable Sober there. Thank you, Nightbot. I have no clue what he's doing. And yeah, I'm not sure what damage inflation they're specifically, or if they're using a word that means something different to them.
Yeah, I mean, so the only kind of inflation, I mean, so there will be inflation over time as gear gets better and better and better. Not better and better and better, but as better gear becomes more available and more better crafters are out there to make more gear, and there will be inflation in terms of people increasing their skills, getting near to the end of the skill tree. But we're not like a World of Warcraft where we're going to be adding, to my knowledge anyway.
Right.
There's no plans to add 5 more levels every year or whatever it is, and which is not to say we won't do that, but right now the plan is keep things tight so there should be as much healing inflation as there is damage inflation. In terms of like being able to get skills in the skill trees and itemization and whatnot. So
okay. A bunch of back and forth there. Elks in 5.5. The elk is not on the 5.5 NPC list.
Though he's got crazy horns.
Those horns are
really,
so
really
crazy. Cool. Wait till he starts shooting antler pieces at you.
His antler guns.
With his antler guns. Okay. Okay, we already answered that question from Anthrage. Did you fix the champion third attack in Ultimate Warrior 2?
That is a growth issue.
Is it a growth issue?
Yes. You grow and suddenly your range effectively decreases because we increase the size of the capsule but not increase the so basically your edge of capsule to the end of your DM does not increase when you increase in size. I believe is a core issue.
Oh, because it's a soft target now, right? When it was a cone, we were manually increasing that back in the day.
Yeah, growth just needs to support
growth
stuff.
God damn it. Okay, will the skill tree be reset for 5.5? I don't know if we need to.
Yeah, I mean, primarily just fixes.
Yeah, I think there's just some fixes in there. People are finding some of the deeper problems right now, which is good. What is the status of thralls? Yeah, in development. Our factory stated for 5.5. No. Nope. Okay, how good is the High Elf PCM debuff power? I think it's pretty nasty. Because I happen to remember implementing that when I'm like, man, this one's going to be nasty. Does that mean not all disciplines will be crafted? The goal is the minors are all NPC drops. The majors are found from thralls in the world, meaning you have to capture them and then you use the stone that you captured them in the crafting process. And the weapon ones use an advanced weapon as part of its crafting process. So 2 of the 3 kinds are crafted and 1 is an exclusive loot drop. Does that mean miners only come from drops? Yes, that is what that means. I know building is no priority right now, but there have been a lot of EK places. Yes. I didn't scroll back. Okay, I just answered it twice. Asked it twice.
I don't think he realized that you answered it already.
Gotcha. When vessels decay completely, will all items to them be also destroyed? That is a good question. Like I said, we are not 100% certain how we want to do the vessel stuff. However, the assumption would be that disciplines would be gone at that point because they are attached to the vessel. So you would lose not the equipment objects, but you would lose disciplines as well as anything that went into it. Do you think the stats issues with the necro parts not transferring over and pips issues will be fixed for 5.5? I need to look at those Lamerte, which is some of the... We haven't touched...
it's been a long time. Like, I mean, those.
It's been a year and 3 months since we last went in and crafted ourselves.
Yeah. And a year ago they worked. Now, I don't know.
Yeah, that's what happens when you build something. If you build something after something, the previous somethings are just... They can either not get the new code or they could break. We just need to go in there and actually test on it. Since we didn't have vessels that you could equip, it really didn't matter much. Yeah. But as you all gather, it is becoming more important. Any ETAs on fixes for the fort's AoE spells? Cones might not work at all. Walls are immune to hits. The walls are immune to hits except from banshees. Yeah. So
Projectiles.
I saw that in a triage meeting. That is clearly on somebody, but it is a bug, and somebody is going to look at it.
Confessor Meteor probably will work too, because that's also a projectile still.
Damage inflation equals the extra AP on weapons lately is what they clarified that as. And
if I remember correctly, Blair, when you were showing me the work you were doing with the oh, actually no, this is weapons, right?
Weapons.
I'm not sure what that means.
So, well,
The extra AP on weapons.
basically, I think they have been living in a world where all that AP was missing
Sure. Well, yeah, that's true. But
because it was getting divided by 14.
That is true. Right?
So they just weren't having access to all of it.
There
Now-
should also be an option to put support power on there. That should.
Correct. No, but I guess in their minds they've seen it that the damage has gone up lately because we just added a bunch of attack power
I guess
that we'd always budgeted for in the budget. We'd just been dividing it by 14 slots rather than 2 slots, for example.
Right.
So now you actually have the values that we thought you should have all along. Is more or less what that is.
Right.
All right. Will there be any sacking mechanics in a hardcore campaign? The siege. I don't know if you've not played a siege 1010111111. However, there is all kinds of destruction in a siege, and generally, if your team wins it, you're not going to want to burn it to the ground. I know that's not always true for warfare. You might just want to destroy everything. Once you have control of it, I'm sure that you would be able to get rid of the buildings in there. They really don't want to talk about building, do they? No, I answered the building thing is being looked at by T-Bone and Val. Can you try removing durability from the vessels and perhaps adding a pool that needs to be refilled after time? Yes, there's all kinds of things we can do. The goal, however, is to not make it so that body parts ever become less useful a year after launch than they are at launch when people are trying to scramble to build green, blue, and epic quality vessels.
Right. We need to keep that economy loop going, which means we need decay. We need some amount of you having to go back and eventually find a new vessel.
Right. So initially, that decay will come in the form of upgrades. Right, because you're issued a white one, you're going to want to get a blue or a green one as soon as you possibly can. So initially there will be a huge demand, and the goal for us is to keep that demand going beyond replacing the item. However, that being said, if you're experimenting with a lot of different things, you want to make a couple different versions of a character or class, you are going to be going through them as well. Are the crypts local or global?
I think they mean if you have a body stored in there, can you access it from anywhere, or can you only access it from one crypt?
The crypts are global. However, there is the same restriction for like a Dregs campaign. If it may not be usable. It's certainly if it has anything in it. If it has disciplines in it, or it's level 30 or whatever, you won't be able to bring that into a Dregs campaign. It has to be something that originates within that campaign. Or the best way to put that is the crypt will also follow the campaign rule sets. So, for example, if the campaign is set to have Stoneborn versus Elves, for example, it will not allow you to equip a human because that's not allowed by that campaign. And you would get stopped if you tried to come in to that campaign as a human, and it'd be like, nope. Or if you went to a crypt and tried to put on your human suit. Okay, EK crafting tables be used by anyone more than the owner. I know that's a current bug. I'm not sure who that landed on. Clearly, we want to allow you to set your EK to public so other people can use those. How specific will you make minor disk drops? Creatures or specific zones? Right now, the general plan is creature type. Might we see a decrease in damage over ranges for rangers greater than 30 or 40 meters? I'm going to say that's not even on the radar right now.
I mean,
We don't balance the DPS based on also range. With the introduction of Deathblow, does that mean we will have the option to resuscitate / resurrect players? Yes.
Yes.
Yes, you will. The support classes are getting an AoE version of that with a ground targeting reticle, and the Templar is getting a single target version of that with, I think it's, I was going to test that today based on the reticle. It might be a ground target as well if the reticle one doesn't work the way we want it to. Why are you committed to durability on vessels? Because we are very committed to our player-driven economy, and if you don't have decay, things last forever, and that crafting profession will become marginalized. We saw this. Look at the architect in Star Wars Galaxies, for example.
Totally.
Everybody needed houses in the beginning. Once all the houses and guild halls and cantinas had been built, that profession was dead. And that is not something that we want. We want to make sure that all of our crafting professions are always viable as best as we can, and we'll make steps to do that. In that case means that if you always have the vessels that you always want, there is another way to do it. Should we talk about the other way to do it?
Sure.
Sure. So if any of you have ever played World of Warcraft, for example, every 2 years they delete all of your items.
Effectively.
Right?
Right. You can still keep them and look at them and be like, I remember how nice this was. You know?
Right? But that epic or legendary item from the previous expansion is now...
Ooh, it's crap. Get it out of here.
Right. Greens in the next area are better. So they basically do a hard reset on all of those objects. You can do it that way. So basically you're in a constant arms race where you have to make the next thing bigger and better and bigger and better. And the challenge in a game that has a lot of PvP in the open world is that you go exponential on your items,
Right.
then some guy can just come up and step on you with his items. And we're not building that game.
Also the need for scientific notation to explain damage and stats.
Nice. So their model is completely different than ours. Ours is based on you replacing those items, but not us basically in an arms race to make the next one better and better. It just means that over time you're going to have to repair that item, and the only way to do that is to decay it out of the system. So the crafters are constantly building to make up for all the stuff that's being destroyed. You're replacing it. You may have not realized that that's what's happening in games that have a strong PvE model, and but you have it. So I'm sorry if I bursted that bubble on any of you who didn't know about that, but that's how that works.
It's still decay.
It's still decay. Bear might hit walls in. Yes, we looked at all projectiles hitting the walls, the tornadoes, the bears, the meteors from the Confessor, and none of them except for Banshee hits the walls.
Is it because it's a giant log jam of... It's like you're literally shooting a barn. It's like, can you hit a barn with another barn?
I love that power more than anything. I would gladly kill Jack for that power because it's that awesome.
I feel like you would kill me for less.
Okay. A lot of the skill trees have mandatory gathering crafting skills. Let's wave at all the engineers going out to lunch. Get back to your desks.
Bye, engineers.
Go fix tags.
Go
so I can
Love you.
so I can make the spider boss.
All right. A lot of the skill trees have mandatory gathering crafting skills needed for the last skill to be trained. Some of us don't want to craft, gather, and want to focus on combat. Can they be optional? I don't want to use my time on them. Lots of choice. I mean, that's the whole point. There's going to be some hard choices. And yeah, you either pick to use them or you don't, or those things, when you've gotten what you think is the brunt of the skills that you can get the 80% from those other trees, it might be more interesting. But I don't see us changing the way that those work. Will vendors only have it set that you can pay with gold coin, or will we be able to switch to dust for items? Right now, gold is the only thing that they take. That's also what their upkeep cost is in gold. Centaurs will have 4 boot slots. No, the Centaurs will have a horseshoe slot. I still haven't fully implemented that. That's one of my weekend chores to do. Will the forts also talking about the problem inside the forts? Skills do not work inside of forts. AoE and cone AoE. You can use a cone point blank range on a target and it does nothing.
I'm gonna go with DMs hitting the object being the building. You remember this one?
Yes. All right.
Hasn't gone away. Still there.
Blazing means that the time to kill just went too fast with advanced weapons. So, time to kill.
Time to kill.
So,
against who? Against a naked confessor or against a knight with 75% armor and 8,000 hit points?
Yes. So, are you guys using advanced armor? I haven't seen a lot of screenshots of advanced armor. I would love to see them if you guys are actually making it. Can we just have combat where we don't get stunned, knocked down, and killed within 3 seconds? That's totally not fun play. That shouldn't be happening as far as I know.
And in fact, you have more retaliate than ever.
Especially since retaliate is now. Weapons can provide AP and SP, so those both scale. Weapons also have base damage, also scales. Since weapon damage is disconnected from healing, there's no corresponding way for healing to keep pace. Good point, Gradisher.
Well, there's still support power, so.
Yeah, there was a time and place where we actually had the damage value in there, but yeah, got rid of that. Damage way outscales healing right now. When can we expect to test the Stormborn? Not in 5.5. I have a feeling, though, that we will see some more races in 5.6. I'm not going to say which ones. Okay, we are almost 10 minutes over. Okay. You got a short one because you weren't in here for the demo.
Yeah, well, like I said, I was chasing bugs.
Chasing bugs. That's the phase that we're at. Okay. I'll get you some armor screens at Crowfall. Thank you. I made some pretty sweet legendary stuff and then some pretty sweet blue stuff, but I want to see where that is compared to what you guys are making on the live servers right now. Okay. In a group, I regularly get 10k with buffs. Solon is probably playing a knight, I'm guessing.
If I'm tanky.
Ooh, will vendors get a write-up that will be in an update sometime soon?
Yes. You know what? We should totally do a write-up for vendors because Charlie is wrapping up his implementation of vendors. There are so many little details with that, especially, with upkeep costs and all. There's just a lot of little details.
Pretty big system.
It's a massive system, and it's cool to see that one come to life. We will definitely do a write-up. Okay, one last question. What do stats look like for jewelry for 5.5 with plus damage mod being less than 1 at the moment? How much will it increase in 5.5? It increased by a lot.
By a lot.
By a lot. I know a lot.
A lot.
Because I don't have a screenshot here of... actually, can you hide my screen? Tell me when can you hide my screen? Just blow our faces up really big.
It was a big Blair head.
All right, your screen is gone.
Okay, let me get you some.
Let me know when you want it back.
Okay, I am still working. Don't bring it back.
Wait for it.
Hey Jack.
Wait for it.
Let me go to my friend Mark Halash.
Hey, look,
he's right there.
Yeah, but I sent him screenshots.
There you go. That's that critical hit chance stuff.
Yes, I love how that bug.
You need green shot. That's such a.
I do.
You can just get it from the interwebs. There you
go. Okay, now no, I'm not talking to you, Jack. Not talking to you, Jack.
Be very specific, please.
Very specific.
I had a shot in here of.
There's a baguette.
It's got
a healing mod.
Yeah, I was looking for
healing mod, damage mod.
Oh, look at that one.
Yeah, I saw that one. See, it's a little 217%.
That was not
200 times. Obviously, that one wasn't right.
Yes, I thought I had a shot of.
You're looking for a ring with damage on it. Well, you know the damage and
Yeah, I thought I'd taken a better shot of.
don't just keep scrolling.
You know me, and that
Blair has too big of a heart.
Fucking-
He's easily just give him the
okay.
big eyes and it's over.
Puppy dog eyes.
Okay. Let's look at that.
Let's not look at that.
Not that one, and not. I swear I had a blue one. All right. Well, then we'll just show them the cool shield. Okay. So the ring. I didn't take a shot of the one that I thought I did, or I sent it to somebody else. But I will show you guys my MS Paint shield here. There we go.
Can I bring it up now?
Yes.
You're fibbing. You just made that in paint.
All
Right. So this is the kind of the updated shield, because we made a pass right after 5.4 went out on shields and jewelry, and I implemented the necklace stuff. But this is kind of what you're looking at for the shield. Now, we always make a legendary version using 15 experimentation points, and this is purely amazing rules on our end so that we can ensure that we're not putting something in the game that breaks. For example, one of the early rings, I had like 200% crit damage or critical chance on it, right? Which is clearly
we're like, hey,
that's
probably wrong.
There's a number wrong in there. So we definitely make the absolute top end case, and then we go back and we make a blue one, which we call the Everyman, which is basically what we think that most people will be using when you kind of
Everything shakes up.
Yeah, when everything shakes out. So those are the two the two that we tend to do. So just want to show you guys that. We definitely craft. We'll look at vessels. I'll put that on my list for this week to make sure that all the additives and all of that stuff survived the last year and 3 months, which it sounds like they didn't. And we will see you guys for the filmed Q&A in 2 or 3 weeks. So can't wait to put 5.5 out for you. And we will see you around the corner.
See you next time.
Later.